Condition that can be tough on our pets if it's left untreated. It's called floating kneecaps or luxating patellas. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're joined once again this morning by our pet vet, Dr. Jennifer Crow from Fisher's Veterinary Hospital. So what is this floating kneecaps disorder?
So it's when the kneecap literally pops out of position. It happens oftentimes in our toy breed dogs, but the kneecap or the patella sits inside of a ligament that runs across the joint of the knee.
I have to admit it sounds pretty painful, but you say it's actually not.
It's not. There are tons of dogs that live with this condition and they do just fine. What happens is that groove's just not deep enough. So when they're in their normal movement, it tends to float or pop in and out of that position. But it sits outside the joint, so it doesn't hurt for a lot of them.
It so often happens with smaller dogs,
Yeah.
toy breeds?
It can happen with any dog, but toy breed dogs tend to be overrepresented.
Okay.
And there's owners who don't notice it unless they happen to lift up their leg and kick it to pop that kneecap back in place when they're walking.
Okay.
But it tends to float fairly smoothly for a lot of these dogs, so for most of them it's not a problem.
So if you notice this happening in your pet, what are the treatment options that might be available?
So first you want to see your vet because they can tell you how they can grade it as far as how often that's out of place and if your dog's a candidate for surgery. There is surgery that can be done to deepen the groove so that that sits nice and tight in there, or even move the ligament so that it's held in place.
So, okay, what's the best way to recognize this is something your pet's dealing with?
So it's going to look like they're limping,
okay,
but it's inconsistent, and it may happen especially when they do a different range of motion other than straight walking, so going up and down stairs or jumping up and down onto something. But it's worth having checked out because you want to make sure that they've not done something else like torn an ACL or hurt themselves in another way.
Yes, you got to be one of those observant pet owners and watch your pets carefully to make sure if this is something they have. Number one, take them in to see your vet, like perhaps Dr. Crow. Thank you so much for joining us.